Okay, so yeah, let's start with the interview. And thank you, Shoko Hara, for coming to Animatrix Festival and having this interview with us. And thank you so much for your wonderful film. Please introduce yourself and talk about your film, please.
All right. Thank you for the invitation. I am Shoko. I'm director of the film Just a Guy. And it is an animated documentary short film about women who corresponded with a serial killer, Richard Ramirez.
Yes, yeah, and I have to say I saw it last year after it had won a few awards. I mean, of course, it was an online festival, but
Yeah.
it's one of these films that is very engaging from the first moment, and you feel it that it is very kind of gritty and real and quite controversial, I would say, for an
Yes.
animation. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, actually, I make films coming based on realities because I'm not a good script writer or I cannot make up any stories. So I get inspired from the reality, and the reality is even crazier than you can make up. So yeah, and the idea came because I was looking for a topic for my debut film, and I remembered that I also received the letter from Richard Ramirez in 2011 when I was 21 years old. And then I remembered also that he had a lot of female fans and that he even married one of his groupies in prison. So this phenomenon exists already for years, already at the time of with Charles Manson. So I was interested in the psychology of the women and what kind of relationship they had, and if a serial killer is capable of loving, or is he deserved to be loved, or if he is really this kind of just a guy, what the other women said or what he said about himself.
Mhm. Yeah, this is something that brings to mind like Charles Manson cult and all of these other sort of serial like cult members and serial murderers in United States, and this seems to be a sort of recurring theme in United States. But you said that you also received a letter for him. So did you can you tell us like how many women were sort of corresponding with him, and were most of them in America or elsewhere?
It's elsewhere, and there were a lot of hundreds of women, I guess, because he was in prison for 25 years in total until his death. And uh, this time, I really hundred of women from the whole world sent him letters, and I also got to know other women from Germany who was corresponding with him for over 11 years, or other women who thought that they are the special ones and they're the only ones, and um, but he played with several women, and he told him he told uh, every single woman that you are the only one for him, you know. So everyone felt special.
Okay, so that's quite interesting. Yeah, that was his reason for being able to have these relationships. And I have to say, this case is quite interesting because I mean there have been a lot of other serial killer cases, and it seems to me like in America there's a certain fascination for serial killers, which is kind of part of the culture. I think it's existed at least since the 20s and 30s when they had like Bonnie and Clyde and these other
Yeah.
gangsters and gangsters there. Do you agree that this seems like it's interesting that this is a very international case? I think before that was just sort of limited to United States, this fascination.
Yeah, you're right that this kind of fascination is was very popular in the US. But this phenomenon exists also in, for I don't know the other countries, but for also in Germany, because but the difference is that we in Germany we don't have the death penalty, and I think as soon as you have the death penalty, things get more interesting for women or for fans, because this is the kind of border that you can say, okay, he never gets out of the prison, so I'm safe. So this is kind of being the most closest, or being really close to someone who is very dangerous. And maybe you can compare it with watching horror movies or thriller movies, because the screen is the border between the something which is very dangerous or horrible, but you are still protected behind the screens. And when the serial killer has death penalty or will be in prison until he dies, then you feel safe being in touch with someone like this.
Mm. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is interesting that then basically that when you're in prison, you basically it looks like that you're in as if you're in a movie or yeah, some unreachable medium. Can you and then also have to say that the film is it utilizes many kind of animation techniques and is kind of yeah, it's a mixture of different techniques and I think very well done. So how did you when did you have like how long did it take you to make this choice about the visual style of the film and how did that come about?
Yeah, thank you. I I think I like the production in total, or the development in total. It took around 2 years, but the production only took around 6 months. And I made a lot of visual researches and tried a lot of different things. But at the end, I came up with this techniques because first I decided to use two different visual layers, like the past layer and the present layer. And the present layer, the women are talking about their emotions and their feelings now, for today. And there I decided to use like realistic puppets with the original eyes of the protagonist, and to show to show the present part. And when they talk about their past and the memories and the feelings back then, I decided to use this kind of more flat clay but dirty stop motion animation, because love is very complex, and it's not always positive, but it can be also toxic, and like in this case, or dirty or ugly. So I use this kind of ugly material, or dirty clay, and combined it with materials you might find in prison, like metal, plastic, paper, fabric, and stuff like this. And then I wanted also to use original documents, original letters. And so, yeah, and I included them also into the animation sequences.
Mm. Yeah, it's certainly very well made, and that's the thing that it feels. Although, like obviously, you have like very simple puppets in there, and like rough puppets, but still you get the sense. You're actually almost not thinking about that fact. All the characters look very real and kind of part of the documentary. Did you? Was it was it a conscious choice to have, for instance, not to animate Richard Ramirez himself, or how long did it take you to sort of figure out which character would be visualized in which way?
Yeah, it was. I was really struggling with the character design of Richard Ramirez, and if to and if at all, because it is not about him or about his criminal career. So I actually didn't want to give him this kind of platform. And then, but so I decided only to show him when it is really necessary, when Eva O interacts with him, for example, when they meet for the very first time. It is a very intimate moment. So I had to show him, but then I was struggling with the design. it shouldn't be too cartoony, and he for sure he had to look like a monster, but not too much monster, but also not too handsome like other women said. So yeah, it was very difficult. And now after this film is finished, I got some messages by Rich Ramirez groupies that they don't like it that I didn't show him that handsome, you know.
Mhm.
But it was of course my purpose, not to show him this, yeah, not to show him handsome, of course. But it was interesting to get those kind of messages, and that they were sending those very negative comments about his design. But yeah,
Yeah, no, but that's interesting. But of course, you couldn't have made it that way because that would have looked like a fan video then. Because
yeah,
if
yeah,
you
exactly,
being critical and then you are making a documentary, of course you
yeah,
need to sort of like keep an open mind and show all sides of. But I think I really like the fact that you included all these kind of letters and all these other elements and materials together. And yeah, there's certainly this really strong vibe about the way you've mixed the documentary and the sort of the filmed material with the
yeah,
animation, and then the fact that it is not CGI, is actually puppet animation. It's very very traditional animation, very kind of like rough materials and everything, and it's quite and also I would say it is. Was it a challenge to because it's relatively long for an animation? It's about 15 minutes long, if I'm not mistaken. Was it a
yeah.
challenge to keep it quite sort of like compact or interesting, or how much did that take for the as far as the scripting or writing is concerned?
Yeah, actually, we had 15 hours of original audio recordings by the interviews, which were quite a lot, and then partially we tried to reduce and select the best sequences of the interviews. But of course, it was until 30 minutes. It was very easy to reduce and select, but then from 30 minutes to 10 minutes, I actually wanted to make a 10 minutes long animation, but we couldn't make it. And I also thought, okay, maybe 50 minutes is the right duration, just to yeah, so the audience is able to feel what I want to um, say, or I think 10 minutes is too short to develop an emotion by the audience, I guess.
Mm.
So yeah, but it was very difficult because we had very different versions of the storyline and yeah, the structure. And at the beginning, we had a totally different story, which was more emotional and not that awkward. But then I felt, okay, this is not my style, because I always need this kind of awkwardness or weirdness in my films. So we changed everything. Yeah, quite at the end of the script development.
Mm. No, but I think it was very well done. I think the length was very good, and it's so much happening in there because normally if you watch like a documentary, is it is a very slow paced. Yeah, so it is sometimes it's just you have to sort of like yeah, really be you sort of try to keep yourself focused so you don't
Yes,
kind of fall asleep. But this
true.
was no, this was like almost like watching in action because it was so kind of thrilling and exciting, and I think also the story is so interesting and you've developed it so well. You've chosen all these kind of important elements of it that I think it made it very interesting for me. As soon as I watched it, I was like, yeah, I didn't even think if if this is a documentary or not. It was just like, wow, this is so great, and wow, is actually true. What's happening here? And
Thank you.
yeah, and tell us because you also mentioned the way that you were also involved with these letters. Was this emotionally hard for you to make this film because you were kind of were you scared when you received the letter, or how did you work out this situation about being contacted by the serial killer?
Yeah, I actually sent him all these pictures with Sarah, the red hair protagonist, who is my friend, or who was my friend back then also. And I was very naive back then. So I didn't think about the moral questions. And but then when I received this letter, it got serious suddenly for me because I didn't expect the answer. And it felt like I'm sending a picture to a celebrity who is not reachable. And but then it got serious, and then then I started to research about him, Google about him, and I was like, oh wow, okay, he did really a lot of horrible things. And and then also I had a boyfriend back then, and he called me sick that I'm sending this kind of pictures because I wasn't really aware of that. And then I also didn't want to respond because of Sarah, because normally you don't text the lover of your friends, right? So I told her I don't feel comfortable if I when I respond to him, to his letters, because he might lose his attention to her, but maybe wants to focus only on me. But I I I didn't find him handsome anyways, and yeah, it was out of curiosity, and yeah, so I didn't write him back. But then I wouldn't have made this film today if he wouldn't have died already, because then I would be also too scared to make a film about this topic if he would be alive.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, because I was actually thinking about it because to me the choice of making such a film, it is a kind of a bold choice. And then how like at some point in the film I realized that you were actually personally involved in this
Yeah.
story. Which is like to me it was like, oh wow, how when did she work out the courage to actually do a film like this? And that's quite interesting. So, and it is this very daring and very kind of interesting project. I haven't seen any similar one. So, so first of all, like, did it take you a long time to actually even like consider making a film like this? And after you made the film, what was the reception? Did you from different people and or people who were involved or not?
Yeah, so it was a very hard choice to include myself first, because I was worried getting shitstorms and stuff when the film is done. And I, when I had the idea, it was not my intention to include myself, but all the others told me you have to be in the film because you will be the moral anchor, or you will be the yeah, the connection between the woman and maybe the audience, or you know. And yeah, so but I had to really think about this for a long time, until we decided what to say, or yeah, because I also felt I don't have so much to tell about our relationship, because we didn't have
Mm,
a relationship actually. And but it was a good choice or right decision to include myself, because otherwise I would have made a sensation out of the woman. So yeah, pointing the fingers and saying, yeah, they, you are crazy ones, you know, and I'm not the crazy one, even though I also had the kind of a small contact with
mm,
him. And so I wanted to also to show different perspectives by these
mm,
three women, so to say. One had a real relationship with real emotions and love. One was because of the sexual benefit, and me, the other woman, who decided to not to keep in touch with him.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the reception. Yeah, I got a lot of different receptions. I mean, mostly very positive, because I think it is a very bold and brave topic. But I also but I know that this topic is very polarizing, and especially by hardcore fans by Richard Ramirez. Um, Even they are mad, or at first they are jealous of about Eva O, that she had a special relationship with him. Then second, then they try to find reasons why to hate this film. Um, yeah, because I used his letters without his permission, kind of, because he's already dead. Um, and they think that I'm making money out of this film, even though I don't earn at all. Um, but yeah, they think that I use his letters and his secrets to make money, which is not true. And third, that I showed him that ugly. And then the other part of the audience is that they think that I'm still glorifying him because yeah, we talk about him, of course. And yeah, and the other part of the audience was also shocked and disgusted because they didn't expect that this kind of phenomenon exists at all. So yeah, there are different receptions, but I was already aware of this.
So, how about the sort of critical success of the film? I certainly heard like that you won many awards. Were you surprised by that, that it was so successful in the festivals?
Yeah.
And also, was this was at the end after you've made the film? Did you feel like making this film? Because I mean, obviously, you had many doubts for making this film and what will happen if you make it. But once you made it, did you have like let's say a cathartic experience that this was the right choice to make, although it was a hard choice to make?
Yes, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I'm very glad that it was so successful. But I think this is also because this true crime thing is very popular at the moment. On the Netflix, you can watch so many true crime documentaries, but none of them are talking about the fans or girlfriends or yeah. Um, so I think I chose the topic who never talked about so far that much. So yeah, it was worth it. But of course, for the future, I'm a little bit under pressure now to make another film because everybody will compare it with my next one, and I want to make a film which is better than this, but I don't know if it is possible or yeah. So I'm a little bit under pressure though. Yeah.
No, but this is such a good subject, and and especially the fact that it's controversial and so well chosen and so well made. Of course, it creates pressure for the next project.
Yeah.
But also also I don't. I mean, basically, I think you had so much pressure making this film, so you basically already dealt with it. So I would say, don't worry about the next one. Sure, it's going to be different, but whatever choice you make, I think that's going to be the right choice. But were you surprised by how successful it was in the festivals or not? Was
Yes,
it?
of course.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. Like, yeah, because it won Zagreb and it won so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like yeah, I think they liked it, but it is a very likable film. It's just that you do see you do yeah, it is kind of yeah. I mean, it kind of like takes you by surprise, and it is such a big surprise that you don't even think about what you're watching. And I think that's a really wonderful thing because you're just yeah, this is
Yeah.
great. I don't even have to think why, but wow. Like, so yeah, I think you have sort of this talent for writing and sort of making a very interesting film, and I think that you shouldn't worry about your next projects. I think once you have this kind of a success, you can make the right choices about your next
Yeah.
subject. I don't know. Do
If
you agree?
yeah. If I think long enough about it, maybe I don't know. I still think that it was just a good luck, having the right team members and yeah, and getting the right feedbacks also from advisors. And
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think that I'm that kind of talent. I think this was more coincident or a good luck. I don't
Okay,
know.
but you made it in Germany, in Baden-Württemberg, in this
Yes,
film academy.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but this was you were a student there when you started, or like you got?
No, it was my debut film, so my first film after my study.
But they
Yeah.
helped you with it, and then yeah, because I know you had many animators from this academy working on the film.
Yes,
So
but they were almost everyone. Yeah, most of them they were already graduated,
mm,
and yes, but they were alumni of the film academy.
mm.
Uh,
But you
so
had
it
the
was,
good connections, so I think with the next film we can also help you. And
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
hopefully.
yeah, because I've heard that everybody had a good experience, on the film. So I think you have a bright future as long as, and the one big thing with the animated animation project is that you find a good crew and people to work
Yes,
with. As soon as you have that, then it's just so much
yes,
easier with the next
that's
projects.
true. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so this sounds great, wonderful. Thank you so much. It was like really pleasure talking to you because it's very interesting film and very well made, and it's wonderful talking to you. And I wish you all the success with your future or next endeavors, whatever they may be. So yeah, good luck and
Thank you so much.
have a wonderful summer. Thank,
Thank you. You
thank you,
too.
thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.